Hey, so you were talking how challenge modes can be done for dungeons. Are they also going to be for raids? And also, are they all going to be unlocked immediately? Or is it going to be like you have to do 10 to unlock the next tier and then 15 to do the next tier, things like that?
There's a chance we could do them for raids. We want to start with dungeons and see how they work out and see if they're popular and get a chance to tune them and have them feel right. Raids aren't out of the picture. As far as the unlocking, there's one thing we didn't really mention, but we've been talking about, like, once you get, like, say you get the gold medal, right? After that, we've talked about then actually the item level of your gear could get nerfed by, like, say 5%. And then you could have a chance to run it again, almost like a prestige mode kind of thing, right? And if you beat that, then we could drop your gear by 10% and then 15%. So not only would there just be those 3 levels, you could kind of keep going depending on your skill level. That's another way that we could possibly unlock so you could do more. We just kind of haven't finalized that yet, to be honest.
Thank you.
I feel like one of the strengths of being able to have 2 raids on a single tier usually comes with giving the raiders a choice as to how they will progress through content. Right. Like, they can choose, oh, we want to focus on this string of bosses to get to the end at the beginning of this week, or we can focus on this string of bosses to get to the end this week. Whereas a single raid can seem to burden you towards getting to the end at times. Have you considered maybe having a single raid where if you have progressed through progressed through 2 sides of the dungeon, like with heroics, you have defeated both of these 2 bosses. Later on, you can simply progress through one side to get to the end boss and maybe have a little more time to work on him without having to slug through as many bosses week after week.
We're actually talking about that, and it came up because something we haven't really talked about with looking for raid is, so for Dragon Soul's 8 bosses, but the way looking for raid works is you don't choose all of Dragon Soul, because doing 8 bosses in one night, and looking for raid, that's a very long time commitment. So
big commitment.
It's a huge commitment. So it actually breaks it up. It does actually break it up into two halves. There's the first 4 bosses, and if you beat the last boss of those 4, you get the big battle reward. And same thing, after you've beaten those, you can choose the second half, and then it breaks up. And again, trying to keep the content to smaller chunks. So along with that, potentially, if we're going to end up building in those doors, those back doors, Karazhan had the back door that was halfway up, and that's something I think we're starting to think more about the logistics of getting raids through, and that's something that might happen in the future.
That's it. I got to keep moving. I can't.
Well, infection. I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Preston Wolf, my fellow tank. He couldn't be here because he had to get eye surgery. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, you guys. We've got about 5 minutes, so just enough time for a couple more questions.
At last year's Blizzcon and all throughout Cataclysm, you hinted and showed a bunch of artwork for Abyssal Maw Raid, but never released it. Do you have any plans, and what happened to that?
We don't have any plans to release Abyssal Maw Raid at this point. What Abyssal Maw was it was a raid we were talking about doing for Cataclysm that was going to fit into Vashir, and it ended up, it turned out that the storyline that we were telling within that raid and the boss that we were going to use didn't fit with where we were going for the patch cycle. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with it or we were trying to not do it on purpose. It just ended up not fitting. We ended up having better ideas for some other stuff we wanted to do. So we actually lost all that. The concept art is about as far as we had gotten on it was concept, which we showed at BlizzCon last year. All that was just basically throwaway work at that point. But from a story perspective, we've kind of moved on from Cataclysm, so I don't think we're going to go back to it. But that's what happened. We just ended up not using it because we had something better.
Thank you.
All right, for your new dungeon challenges, you're going to be reducing people's item level to a certain level. I wanted to know how you were going to handle the secondary stats like hit and expertise, since those also get lowered, and people just take those to the caps and then they stop. So the lower geared people are still going to be at their caps, whereas the higher geared people, they're just going to get that flat chopped off the top, and will actually suffer the DPS loss from that.
That's a good point, and that's something we'll certainly have to work out. There's a lot of other little details like that, like how do we handle trinkets,
We have top men working on a solution
Yes,
for that.
very much so. We have faith in these top men.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
In other words, don't worry.
And
Okay, real quick, one more, guys.
Hi, what's going on? I was just wondering how in Oldar and Heroic Lich King, like when you did Zero Light and you did Heroic Lich King, you would get Invincible and you would get the no head mount. It was 100% on hard mode. But in Firelands, you guys made normal mode people get the Firehawk mount, and it made people like who got Firelord. It was just kind of like a bummer that you can see like these noobs or whatever riding around on mounts that you get to kind of work for to get it, Like, do you plan on like continuing doing that, or do you want to just give these awesome mounts to people who don't deserve it?
Oh,
I think
goodness. Now, on Heroic, you did get them every single time you killed him, and on Normal, I don't think that
It's
was
a
the
random
case.
chance.
So, you were rewarded more, but, as far as actual,
and it's a different color.
oh, it's a different color. Yeah, so,
That's part of the reason with Raid Finder that we're going to be separating out so that the mounts like that are only going to come from Normal and Heroic and aren't going to come from Raid Finder, because Raid Finder is kind of what we're looking at as an intro to raiding for most people. That's why, like we were talking about earlier, all those prestige items are going to stay in Normal and Heroic modes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. That's it for Q&A.
thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.